Gotcha. Give me the hot sauce.
Yes, we are ready to roll. Episode 25 of Gimme the Hot Sauce. We've reached a milestone. We're at a quarter of a century. Not bad as we get bigger and better. Being listened to by countries all over the world. The numbers are growing. We thank all our great listeners. We thank our sponsor, Bubble Up. It's the cloud reimagined. Bubble Up is the new way to visually organize any kind of content all in one place. And John's displaying a nice polo there. The Stacey King, Give Me the Hot Sauce.
Eyes on.
Make sure
look at that.
Those are available to listeners, aren't they?
Oh, yes. Show it.
Wardrobe change.
Wardrobe
Yeah,
change.
very nice.
Yeah,
If you follow the show, there's a lot of wardrobe changes.
Yeah, there's a lot of wardrobe changes, especially yesterday after I saw he had a Columbia jacket on that had
Bubble Up, yeah.
And it was like huh?
We can call Portia.
Portia, if you're listening right now, Portia, this message is for you.
It's snowing outside. You could really use that, you know?
The rest of us from the Give Me the Hot Sauce show would like to start getting some of that A-lister equipment that you're sending John. You know what? You don't know what I do. Okay, John? You're not in my house, okay? All right? You don't know what I do. I wear the Bubble Up sweatshirt all the time.
Nice. You should wear it on the show.
Listen, you know what? I'm going to send you a selfie of me wearing it, okay? All right? And I also want to get those some little dog sizes so I can give my dogs, my little American bullies, some little baby sweatshirts that say Bubble Up on them so the fans can see that. Because, they got their own IG accounts now. They're pretty popular.
We can get that. We can make that happen for you. We're going to have Portia on maybe at the end of the show.
Okay.
You can talk to her
I'm going
about
to definitely
some swag.
talk to her. Oh, yeah, we're definitely talk to her.
25.
Yeah, that's a nice milestone. Some great names in sports wore that. With Barry Bonds, of course, as he broke the home run record wearing 25. He couldn't wear 24 because his godfather, Willie Mays, was retired. Of course,
Ben Simmons.
Jim Thome, the White Sox slugger, hit home run number 600 in a White Sox uniform. We got Mark McGwire, another great home run hitter from today's NBA, Ben Simmons, and our special guest today, Danny Manning from Danny Manning and the Miracles. We hate to bring that up, but we're going to visit with Danny later, talk about the 1988 NCAA Championship game.
I have one more guy, Freddie Blicknikoff.
Oh, he was great.
Super Bowl
he
MVP.
had so much stickum, you couldn't shake hands with him, or you'd be going playing a game
I got
with
another
him.
guy, too.
Who's that?
What do you got?
Mark Price.
Ooh, Mark Price, a great shooter.
From Oklahoma. Enid, Oklahoma. Shout out to my boy Mark. He's one of the great guys.
Hey, for those of you watching on YouTube, which we always appreciate, you can enjoy all the fun. You can see Timmy Whispers over there. Normally he looks red like a lobster, but I don't know if it's the lighting. He looks a little bit gray today.
We got blue lighting.
He looks blue.
Later in the show,
looks blue.
He's jaundiced. Yeah,
he looks like he might have been choking on a pretzel.
We might have to go in there.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil it, but later in the show, we're going to talk about the experience that Whispers and Stacey had getting their first vaccine shot. We're going to have that later in the show.
It might be the vaccine.
Yeah,
it could be.
Apparently alive.
Changing colors.
So Timmy's been a little bit under the weather, but we'll get him going. You know he's going to drop some kind of sexual innuendo at some point in the show, so that should be a drinking game. When is Whispers going to drop?
When is he going to drop that bomb in the table? We're waiting for it.
We're going to start out talking some NBA and an unexpected and very pleasant victory for the Chicago Bulls on Monday night. They go into Boston without their leading scorer, Zach LaVine. And Stacey, you know what we learned last night? You can still win a game playing defense.
Ooh. You know what, Mark? It wasn't unexpected. I called the upset.
Okay.
It was, we always call these games trap games. It was a trap game for Boston. They thought that the Bulls, were coming in limping, struggling. They don't have their number one scorer, Zach LaVine, and it was going to be an easy night. And they found out differently because Big Vooch rode all over them. It was mouse in the house, free cheese all night long. He really carried the Bulls, especially when Boston came out in that first quarter and got off to a hot start. Jaylen Brown was hot. It looked like they're going to run the Bulls out of the building, but they kept feeding Vooch. They're starting to realize Vooch can play.
Yeah, 29-9 last night, and he got anything he wanted. Of course, Boston was missing some players. They didn't have Kemba Walker or Marcus Smart.
Who cares?
Evan Fournier, the Time Lord Robert Williams.
Hit the who cares, John.
You know what? I don't know if I have that button anymore.
Oh, man, this guy, man. We need to get him off the mic,
I got
man.
one button for you here. How about this one? That's not the right.
That's not the right one. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Hey, I saw a stat yesterday, Stacey. The Bulls are 9-6 when Garrett Temple starts, and he brought that defensive mentality. You could see that he was not going to let Jason Tatum get to his favorite spots. Jason Tatum, one of the best young players in the game, 3 for 17 from the field.
He did a great job of really frustrating Jason Tatum. I mean, he didn't give him any airspace. He played him physical. You know, he got down and attacked his dribble. You know, Jason has a really good, you know, game off the bounce. You know, he does a good job of setting himself up, you know, posting up, step backs, you know, counter moves to counter moves. And, you know, give Garrett a lot of credit. You know, he's been injured most of the season, but when he's healthy, when he plays, he makes a huge difference in what the Bulls want to do. And I thought he did an excellent job last night.
With Zach LaVine being sidelined right now, Kobe White is back in the starting lineup. I thought he played well in the victory over Cleveland. He hit 4 clutch free throws to nail down the victory against the Celtics. He's still learning as a point guard. You had a telestrator where you showed that sometimes he kind of focuses on one side of the court and misses guys on the other. But it's a growth process, and I think this is important for Kobe to build some confidence over these final 15 or 20 games so that he can go into the offseason feeling good about himself.
Yeah, speaking of that telestrated play, I just want to apologize to the people who were watching that last night. That was not my fault last night on the telestrated play. That goes to the truck, and I am throwing them under the bus. Yes, I am. I'm not going to call any names.
Back up over him.
I'm not going to call any names, but it was a perfect play. And I was telling you guys about this. It was a perfect opportunity to show
teaching moment,
the
right?
teaching moment, to show some of the things that, you know, Kobe is seeing and not seeing on the court. And it was a great play because it was set up nicely because they were running a double high screen. And with him with the ball, he has a couple of options. And when you're a point guard, you're basically the quarterback out there. You've got certain reads you have to read as a quarterback. So when Tom Brady's back in the pocket, you know, he's reading his progressions. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, where the ball's supposed to go. And the point guard is no different than an NFL quarterback. There's reads that you have to read. There's progressions when you come off those screens, what you're going to do with the ball. And so this particular illustration was, you know, Tice came in, set a screen, and then his man literally jumped out, which allowed him the dive cut. He was open. It's a split-second decision, and those are the decisions sometimes that Kobe is struggling with, the quick decisions, because he anticipates the defense is going to play it this way. And so he, in his mind, this is what he's going to see. But as you know, sometimes it's not like that.
Right.
Sometimes something happens, a player dictates how it's going to change, and that's what happened. He missed Tice rolling to the basket. He's wide open. Then he ended up trying to come off the screen of Vooch, who's an all-star caliber player, and missed the throwback to Vooch, right. And then he decided to drive, put his head down, and try to drive to the basket because he assumed that the shot clock was going down. So I got to go to the basket. Ended up taking a terrible shot, and they went down and scored a 3 on it. But it's a learning process, and I think with Zach being out now, you know, he's going to get the minutes. I think his attitude has changed now that he's back in the starting lineup. I don't really know if that's going to be the rest of the year. You know, but he's made some good decisions with the ball. He's had, you know, the game against Cleveland, he had like 9 assists. His turnovers were really low. And I think that's been one of the things that has kept him out of the lineup is his turnovers. I mean, he has a lot of turnovers. I mean, you know, there's one game, a couple of games ago where he got in the game, the first minute he was in the game, he had like 3 turnovers. So that's got to get better for him if he's going to be on the floor consistently.
Billy Donovan said after the game, and this was a lengthy answer, he really wasn't asked about it specifically, but he said he felt like the trade kind of messed the team up, even though they brought in quality players like Vucevic and Tice. He said that everybody's roles got confused, and he said it really thought it set him back. And in your post-game interview, there was mention that the players had a team meeting and said we got to play some defense. So it seemed like everybody got back to basics and said let's stop making excuses. This is on us now. You know, we had less than 20 games left. We got to win some games if we want to get in this play-in.
Well, it comes down to it, Mark. I mean, do you want to be in the playoffs?
Yeah.
You know, and so how do you get to the playoffs? You're not going to outscore people. That's not what it's all about. If you want to get to the playoffs, you got to buckle down and play defense. And it starts individually. Every man on that team has to be held accountable. You have to be able to go out there and say to yourself, I'm going to go out here and play. I don't have any help. I'm going to have to play my man one-on-one. So you got to play your guy like you don't have any help. Like if you're in the gym playing one-on-one, you're out there by yourself on an island. So you got to have that kind of mental approach. And I think these last 2 games, I thought they played exceptional defense against Cleveland, okay? But then again, that was Cleveland. And so you're saying, well, Cleveland's not that good, yada, yada. So, but last night, they put back-to-back defensive efforts together. It's probably been the best I've seen them play defense in stretches in a back-to-back situation all year long. And they really got after Boston. And I like the way that they rebound the basketball. They kept Tristan Thompson off the boards from getting second chance opportunities. So they did a lot of things well. Now the whole thing is maintaining that defensive intensity the rest of the season. You can't say, okay, we did it 2 games now let's go back and revert to non-playing defense.
Speaking of defense, our old guy Tom Thibodeau is getting it done out in New York. They've won 6 games in a row. Your boy Master Luke must be enjoying this right now. Huh?
Yeah, he's been really quiet. Master Luke's been really quiet. Even though normally when the Knicks suck, he was always still talking trash. My Knicks are better. But now that they're winning, you don't hear from him anymore. He's not like I know if the Bulls were winning, I'd be over there talking trash to him. So he's been really big. He just purchased his first house. Is getting ready to be retired soon. So
shout out to Master Luke.
Yeah, Master Luke. Yeah, shout out to you and your Knicks. I know you're happy right now. I know deep down you really want to rub it in my face, but don't get too excited. I don't know if you're gonna get past the first round.
Speaking of teams trying to advance, the Milwaukee Bucks lost for the second time to the Phoenix Suns last night. And there was a little bit of a controversial call at the end of overtime where they whistled a foul, which was very questionable to decide a game.
Yeah, it was. It was tough. I mean, it was a great night of NBA. We didn't have a national telecast. It was our own, so we had all our looks, and our producer went nuts with all the replay looks, and it looked like Tucker, elbow inadvertently when he went up, and I don't know why he was in that position, but yeah, it was. Ugly.
That's one normally the officials will let go. You hate to decide a game on a touch foul at the end of overtime.
Yeah. Hold on, when you say you don't know why he was in that position, you don't know why he was in.
Well, I
position
mean,
to
he
take
was
that
already.
shot?
I think it was it Holiday?
Holiday was all over him. He had pushed him all the way almost to the bench. The shot he was going to take was going to be a desperation heave at the buzzer.
Yeah, and then
PJ Tucker kind of came over
up, and his elbow
might have grazed his elbow.
Yeah, I think it did grazed Devin Booker's elbow, and that was the call. And then they looked at it, and they didn't even.
And the thing is, the shot actually came after the buzzer. Yeah, but the foul came
before
the release. So he got 2 free throws with 0.3 of a second left.
Coach Bud wasn't
overtime,
happy.
Game over.
Yeah, it was a great. I mean, talk about between Steph Curry going to Philadelphia and in that game, and then our game. It was exciting. It was exciting.
How about that battle of the Curry brothers? Seth was trying to guard Steph, which is forget about it. On this role that he's on, he's averaging about 40 points a game over the last 10. He had 49 last night. Stacey, 4 of the last 5 games, Steph Curry's had 10 or more 3-pointers. I mean, the guy is the greatest shooter of all time, but to put that kind of a streak together just boggles the mind.
I will say this, Mark, and we have this discussion all the time. You heard BJ talking about it. There's certain guys in this league that should not shoot threes, even if they're open. Okay, Steph Curry is the one guy, and Klay Thompson is the other guy that it doesn't matter how many times they shoot threes; those are great shots for them. They just can make them. They're pure shooters, and Steph Curry is not only is he a pure shooter, but he is a shot creator. He's a guy that can shoot an off-balance 3, one-legged, from 30 feet, he can knock it down. I mean, he's unguardable. And when he's hitting threes like that, now he's smart because now he's like, okay, I got you now, baiting you now to play me tight, to try to get up on me and run me off a 3-point shot. He has the ability to put the ball on the floor and then still be able to get to the rim. Since he's hurt his tailbone a little bit, he's trying to kind of stay away from the drives now, unless it's like a complete direct line and he's open. But he's trying to stay away from that. But when you're shooting the ball like he is from the 3-point line, why would you go in there? 3 is better than 2, according to analytics.
How about our guy Jimmy Butler calling out his teammates, calling them soft? And Miami's right around 500. They're kind of treading water right now. They'd be in the play-in situation, and this is a team that people thought would take a jump after making the finals last year.
Well, I mean, the reality of it is that they're going to look back on this and had the opportunity to get James Harden. And all you would have had to give up is your 2 shooters, Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. And which sounded at the time to Miami probably like, oh, no, we can't get rid of those guys. They're our shooters. We need them. Yeah. And now you look back on it, and now you got Jimmy Butler saying the team is soft or not playing hard or whatever he said. I didn't really see what he said. I'd heard about it, but I didn't really see it. But it's typical Jimmy. It's one of those situations where they're not playing well. And he's going to hold people accountable. And if he's out there doing what he's doing and he's playing hard every night and he's, doing whatever he can to help the team win and you're not, he's going to call you out. You know, all the big face coffees and all the fun stuff that he does on the side. And
he ain't messing around once he gets between the lines.
But Jimmy feels, in his mind, he feels like he's a top 10 player, and he has the right to question your work ethic, because if you don't work as hard as him, you're going to hear about it. And, you know, it's been a smooth marriage, you know, in Miami, because all those young players have worked hard. You know, they work hard. But for some reason this year, you know, outside the bubble, because they were the surprise team in the bubble last year other than Phoenix, these kids are not working as hard anymore. Tyler Hero is not having the same season that he had last year as a rookie. And so people have figured him out. And that's the one thing about the NBA is, like, you know, you could have a good stretch of games. You can have a good rookie year. But sooner or later, teams are going to figure you out and start taking away the things you like to do, which is wide open jump shots.
And, you know, I'm making good use of the bubble up folder. So I went right to that article because I put it in there. We're just being soft. That's it. Not getting into bodies, scared of some contact.
He called out Bam, too. He said he should play bully ball.
Yeah.
And Bam's an all-star.
Well, I mean, if
he did this in Chicago.
I mean,
oh, no question about that.
But if you look at the team, you look at the team.
Bring that up.
You know, you look at the team that they have down there. You know, Duncan Robinson's not going to scare you with intimidation. No. I mean, he's not that type of player. But they play a role down there. You know, if they're making shots, you look a lot more menacing. When you're not making shots, teams go at you. And how do you, if you want to really get into a shooter and change the way they play, you make them defend. You make them defend you on the other end. So those guys, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, they're guarding killers every night at that position. It's not like they're guarding power forwards or centers. They're guarding ones and twos, and they have to defend those guys. And that's how you defend shooters. You make them work on the defensive end, so therefore late in the game, they don't have the legs to shoot. And that's what teams have figured out. Play them physical. When they come off screens, punch them, bang them, punch them in the mouth. Jimmy's going to play physical, so that's not going to be an issue. I think Dragic is physical for a point guard. But there's a couple of young players there now that teams are starting to figure them out. Now, have they made the adjustment on them? Now, would those young players make the adjustment on how they're being played?
Well, you know, missing Jay Crowder, he played there last year, and watching Marcus Smart, Jay Crowder plays for the Suns now. That's the kind of player that you're talking about.
Player with dog in him.
Yeah.
Dog. You need dogs. You need alpha dogs that, you know, guys, you know, like I said, you don't go to a gunfight with a knife. You know, and you look at a guy like, you know, Jay Crowder, and you pair him with Jimmy Butler. They play together in Marquette, so they have an understanding of each other. They push each other. They're very physical. If there's a fight, you want Jay Crowder or Jimmy Butler in your corner. If I got to get in a fight, I don't know if I'm going to take Duncan Robinson. I don't know if I'm going to take Tyler Hero.
One of my favorite things was when Jimmy Butler got into it with, was it Nene?
Nene, yeah.
And Stacey's call, man. Oh, it's just like he's calling a heavyweight fight, and you know, and
it was a heavyweight fight.
But Jimmy, you guys,
Jimmy's not gonna back down anymore.
They went nose to nose, head to head,
and step in. You're gonna step in. I mean, just, you know, obviously in the best of King, but oh man, I miss those times, man. Who's on your all dog team
in this day and age?
Yeah,
I would say because it's not fair because everybody was a dog in the '90s. Seriously, I mean, everybody
that
played.
Portland team had some dogs.
I mean, if I was to go a '90s dog team, I would say Xavier McDaniel would be on there. I would say Oakley would be on there. I would put Anthony Mason on there. 2 Knicks on there. I would put like Maurice Lucas. Go back and look at some Maurice Lucas video of him just beating people up, like physically, like fist fight, beating people up. He was good with his hand game, man. His knuckle game was real good. And I would probably say, it's interesting. My fifth guy would be, I put Rodman as a dog. I put Bill Laimbeer as a dog too. I didn't like playing against Bill Laimbeer, but I would have him on my team. Because he Rick Mahorn. I mean, there's a lot of dogs. You know, there's also you know, in this league there's a lot of cats. You know, you got to for every dog you got to have a cat.
Yeah, the famous Coach Prescott.
Meow. I need dogs. I need dogs. I don't need cats. You know, meow. You know, the cat. Meow. I don't need that.
We'll get that in the bubble up folder too.
Yeah, get that one.
Yeah, right.
But there are some cats out there. There's some guys. There's some guys in this league that, you know, that wolf a lot, but you know deep down, if it came push to shove, they would not want to get in the mix up. You know, I say Draymond Green is. I say Draymond. I mean, Draymond Green plays a great role for, Golden State. But I just think, like, he wolfs a lot. Like, he's a guy, like, if it really came down to a knuckle game, like, I'd like to see what he would do. Like, if someone challenged him, like saying, like Kevin Durant. If Kevin Durant would have challenged him when he got yelled at in LA that time, I would like to see what Draymond would have done. Because Steve Kerr, people don't know this. Steve Kerr tested Draymond Green out his first year. Steve Kerr went at him in the locker room. They had to be separated. Steve Kerr don't mess around. People think Steve Kerr's got that good old boy, the next door neighbor. Yeah, next door neighbor to date your daughter type of guy.
Well, didn't he go after MJ?
He's a killer.
Didn't he? He didn't back down.
No, he didn't back down. He went after me.
He went after you.
Yeah, he got choked. But he went after me. When they were in Cleveland, when we played Cleveland in the playoffs, Danny Ferry hard fouled Michael Jordan, I think I want to say game 5 in Cleveland. I mean, the game, I mean, Michael was going for a layup, and Ferry came out of nowhere and just, like, cleaned his clock. And players had to be separated. And then they took Danny Ferry out the game because they knew there was going to be retaliation, which there was. There was going to be major retaliation. And they took him out of the game and hit him. Didn't come back. Okay, didn't come back. He was only put in that game to do that. And then they hit him. So we come back to Chicago. The game plan was payback. We're going to get Danny Ferry. We don't care what point of the game it is. We're going to get him. And Cleveland knew this. They knew this. So they didn't play him because they brought him in there just for that specific thing to try to hurt Jordan. So they didn't bring him in. So he comes in garbage time. We're killing Cleveland. It's like we're up 20, 25 or something. And so they put him in the game. It's like the last 4 minutes of the game. So they think it's over. They think the hit's been canceled. They think the hit's off.
Don Corleone.
Yeah, they think they called off the hit. The hit is on, baby. The Chicago, we don't forget. We do not forget. So they bring him in the game, and the crowd's booing him because they knew boo boo. So the game plan was before the game. Phil said, "Listen, when this kid comes in the game, take him down. No matter what he does, take him down. Hard foul him, get him back." And so everybody knew the game plan. The hit was out. The mob boss made the hit. The hit was out. So he didn't come in the game till like the last 4 minutes of the game. So I was in the game. Will was in the game. I think Cliff Levinson was in the game. So we had our second team out there, and we were just killing them. And so he comes in the game. So the game plan was like, we were talking like, the hit's on. All right, whoever gets, if he gets to the basket, we know what we're doing. Everybody's agreeing. So play comes up. I'm on the opposite side guarding, I think, Mike Sanders or somebody. And he was in a pick and roll, and he dove to the basket. Will Perdue had a chance to get him. Will Perdue had a chance to get him. He could have did a Luka Broski on him, but he didn't do it. Will let him go. So I'm watching the whole play transpire because I'm like, okay, Will's going to get him. Will's going to clothesline him or something. He's going to get him. Will let him go. Why? I think he thought the hit was over. I think it was late in the game. I think Will just probably said, "Oh, it's not worth it. The game's over, whatever." No doing it. Well, Stacey King didn't think the game's over. Stacey King was programmed the hit was on. So I'm like a Terminator. Yeah. I'm like the Terminator. No one has reprogrammed me to say it's not off. It's not on. So I see him, and so I fly. I fly from the opposite side of the court. He's going up looking like he's got a pretty layup. He thinks it's sweet. He's posing. Man, I jack-tated his ass. I came out like I played football, like I was a free safety. Man, I tore his ass up. Took him out the air, boom, nailed him, and then I kind of walked over him like Pippen did Ewing. Yeah. I kind of walked over to him. Bench is clear. Because now Cleveland knows what happened. So the bench is clear. So you got Hot Rod Williams, Larry Nance, they're all jaw-jacking. Scotty was in the game with us too. So Scotty's, trying to hold me back, and I'm walking past the Cleveland bench like, do something. Do something. What are y'all going to do? What are y'all going to do? So I'm walking by the bench, and Steve Kerr was the only one that challenged me. He came up to me. He's like, that's effing Bush League. And he's cursing at me. And I'm looking at this little dude. I'm like, man, I said, yo, man, get out of my face. And so he was like, so he starts getting in my face. I should kick your ass. And I'm like, and then when he said that, it's just impulse. I grabbed him like he was a tube of toothpaste. And I just started squeezing him. I just started squeezing his throat. And he was like, you know, and I'm like, you little worm, you know. And then so they broke it up. Scotty pulled me off of it, and so then I had to go to the locker room. And then after that was over, you know, MJ came. We went in the locker room, and of course I got fined and got in trouble for it. But back in the day,
all fines.
Yeah, you know, yeah, the mob boss paid it off. You know, hey, you know, you do. So we get in the locker room, and MJ came up to me and basically said, "Thank you for getting him. I appreciate you having my back." Yada yada yada. So that was pretty cool.
So what was your conversation like with Steve when he joined the Bulls in '93?
You know what? It was me and Steve were cool though before that. Like because I played against Steve in the Final Four at Arizona when he was at Arizona. We beat them, of course. And Steve had his worst game ever as a collegian. He would tell you that against us. And Mookie just frustrated him. I mean, I think Mookie just like basically put handcuffs on him the whole game. And after the game was over, he threw the keys and said, "Thanks, you know, free yourself anytime." He couldn't score. But we were cool. Steve is cool. Steve is a friend of mine. But it was just the heat of the moment. Sure. In a situation that required a payback. That's how the 90s were. If you get one of ours, like what in my man Sean Connery, you put one of them in the hospital, we put you in the morgue, right?
There you go, Whispers.
Whispers. Yeah, that's
a movie line.
It's a movie. Yeah, see, but that's how it was. That's how it was. If you do something to us, we're gonna get you back, and that's just how it was. Just like in baseball, if you do something to show a team up, you're gonna get a fastball in the ear hole. It's just the way it is, and everybody knows it.
Now,
like Houston.
Was that like when you guys played back in the day? Was there any retribution, or did you have to?
I got to fight in a rec league game.
Yeah, you're not going to fight. What kind of person is going to fight in a rec league game?
Wait a second.
No, there was.
Yeah, thank you. It happens all. I hear it all the time.
You do it in a rec league game.
That's why I don't play in rec leagues.
Then you got an anger problem, man. Who's fighting in a rec league?
Not me. I'm just.
You never choked anyone in a rec league?
Yeah. have I ever?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, here it comes.
He's got selective amnesia, I think.
No, tell me.
What?
Oh, I'm not going to bring up names. They might be listening.
We hope they're listening.
We hope they're listening.
Yeah.
No, tell a story.
Oh, there was, jeez.
Oh, you said there's more than one?
How do we get started with this? There was a few.
Okay, we're not listening to Whispers. We're not. That's a different story, different chapter in a different book. We're not listening. Whispers got too much information.
Whispers to go back into his Pfizer coma. We'll talk about that coming up later.
Put him back on ice.
Stacey mentioned the 1988 Final Four. We're going to reflect more on that with our special guest. Danny Manning is next.
Cheated.
Give me the sauce.
Give my ring.
Robbery.
Give my ring, Manning. Give my ring.
The hit is on.
Saucy.
I got something better than his music. You may not like it, but I think Danny. We're going to go down memory lane to begin this segment.
Great.
Okay.
Hey, I'm wearing my Sooner Red today.
Okay, you know what? You know what, Danny Manning? Danny Manning, that's uncalled for. Okay, I just want.
No, it's all love. It's all love.
No. It's a Kansas Red, boy. Don't be trying to fool me. Don't try to fool me.
I stand by here. We're going to try. Here we go. Stand by, everybody.
Okay.
All right, take two. A lot going on here. I got it now. Here we go.
Manning needs the basket and he gets it for Kansas. That's the advantage of having a great player. Steal by Manning. He'll put it down. Here we go. Oh, score it. He'll come to the line.
Oh, what a play. I am shocked, Brent, that they can play a 50-point half against Oklahoma. Absolutely shocked. Now, Manning tried to beat King one-on-one before. Here he shows his ability to dribble in the open court and goes for a potential three-point play.
Yes, memories from the 1988 NCAA Championship game, the University of Oklahoma against KU. And that day, Danny Manning came out on top. You know, when we started this segment, Stacey had a big smile on his face. and now,
oh, boy. I'm getting a two-piece.
I'm about ready to double cross the table on our little producer over here, Stinger.
John was doing some homework.
Comedy.
Unearthed that piece of audio.
Yeah, that was uncalled for, John. First of all, we had a meeting yesterday. You didn't say anything about this kind of stuff. It was a surprise attack, okay?
Well, let's get to Danny because, I mean, it was his game, and you're always telling me to put some bump backs in, so I just thought it was.
Yeah, nice. Let's welcome in our special guest today, the great Danny Manning. There's
going to be some fights in this room. It's going to be some furniture moving.
Longtime rival of Stacey King during their days playing at Kansas and Oklahoma, respectively. Of course, Danny had a long career in the NBA. He's been a head coach on the college level, now doing some great broadcasting work. Danny, thank you for joining us on Give Me the Hot Sauce. And when you heard that audio, what kind of memories that bring back?
You know what? That brings back a lot of memories, but more so just for where college basketball was at that point in time. You know, when we were playing in the Big Eight, I mean, every night we played up against an NBA quality player, whether it was, you know, you talk about the Oklahoma team that was so talented, but even in our league, Derek Chivas, Jeff Grayer, you know, the list just went on and on about the competition that you faced, whether it was John Starks at Oklahoma State. And so for me, I just reflect back and think about all the great battles that we had and how much fun it was.
I remember, you know, coming up and as a freshman and my first couple of years in the Big Eight, and I could just remember how competitive it was. Like every single night, man, it didn't matter who you played. You go down to Colorado, who used to be the bottom of the Big Eight, and they would play you tough. So there was no nights off. You know, you talk about Derek Chivas, you remember Mitch Richmond, Norris Coleman, you know, Ron Kellogg. You guys had all that talent that you had at Kansas, Greg Dreiling. I mean, it was Pony Thompson. I mean, there was so much talent in the Big Eight. It was probably one of the best conferences during that era.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, night in and night out, like you said, no easy nights. Then you look at that draft class that, you know, the guys that got drafted during our era in the NBA. I thought that was a pretty special group as well.
Now, Stacey doesn't like us to bring up that NCAA championship game that often. I mean, every time we bring it up, he kind of gives us a dirty look like, what are we talking about that for? You know, bring up the punches, Tyson, which is his famous line. When you look at that game, Stacey always reminds us that they beat you twice during the regular season. And what was different in that championship game? What was the attitude in the locker room when you're getting ready to take the court, knowing that they'd beaten you a couple of times and you'd have to turn the tables on? What was the game plan going in?
Well, the game plan for us going in was, you know, we knew defensively they were going to heat us up. They had terrific guards, especially led by Mookie Blaylock. So we knew we had to take care of the basketball. But for us, we just wanted to go play and have fun. We were playing with house money at that point in time. You know, we were playing 30 minutes away from our campus and no one expected us to be there. But every time that we lost a game, and, you know, we lost a lot of games that year, we watched the film. Coach Brown would always tell us, you're this close, you're this close, you're this close. And so for us, when we got to the Final Four, we had a level of familiarity with both teams because we played them during the regular season. And, you know, we went back and we watched tape and Coach Brown made all his corrections. But at the end of the day, we just wanted to go ball and have fun.
The one thing I remembered about you guys, you know, even though we beat you, you know, during the regular season twice, and it's always tough to beat a team a third time, the fact that we couldn't stop you, we were always able to stop everybody else. And that was our game plan. It's like, okay, Danny's going to get his, we know that he's a great player, but let's shut everybody else down. And the one thing that we saw in the finals is guys stepping up that we did not account for. I mean, you guys had a walk-on football player, Clint Normore. He's in my brain every night because this is a guy who wasn't a scorer. You know, he was just, you know, a football player. And he came in and played huge. You had, you know, Chris Piper. You know, we knew he's a rebounder. We knew he's, you know, tough guy. But we didn't account for him to do the things he did in that game. And Kevin Pritchard, we knew you and Milt Newton were the two best players. So we had to try to slow you guys down the best we could. But it was those other guys that came, the miracles, as they call them, that really, really caused us some problems.
You know, Stacey, for us during our run, that was kind of our MO throughout the tournament. We didn't know who it was going to be. But every time we played, somebody had a really good game. You know, whether we were playing at the Pontiac Silverdome to go to the Final Four, Scooter Berry plays really well. Kevin Pritchard comes back from an injury after the Big Eight tournament, and he, you know, played well. Milt did his thing. So every game, it was just somebody different that did a little bit more than what they normally do to get us over the hump.
You know, you mentioned Oklahoma's great guards. Stacey always tells us that those little guys that screwed up at the end, they didn't get him the ball. That was the problem.
Yeah, that could be a problem. I kind of agree with him with that one. Yeah, those guys were those, but you know what? Their team, it was always fun to play Oklahoma and Coach Tubbs' teams because it was going to be fun. It was going to be an up and down affair, and there were going to be a lot of points scored because Oklahoma always pushed tempo and they controlled tempo. And when they controlled it, they like to get up and down. And so as a player, you always enjoy playing those types of games, especially for us because, you know, our coach, Coach Brown, I mean, he's a great coach, the best coach I ever played for. And, you know, he doesn't like to play that fast all the time. So for us to play up against Oklahoma, it was just, hey, let's just go hoop, let's go play and have some fun.
Let's go back and look at that first half because you guys kind of tricked us. You kind of lulled us into thinking that we were going to play a fast-paced game. You guys were going to try to run with us. And so when we went in at halftime, we were excited because we felt like you guys could not keep that pace. That was something you guys were not, you know, you weren't doing all season long, and that we kind of felt you were out of your element. So when we came back at halftime, after halftime, we were like, okay, we finna run these dudes out the gym. And then all of a sudden, y'all slowed the pace down. Y'all went back to the KU that you normally are, spread the floor, isolation, and let you beat people off the dribble and create. So what was your thinking after halftime? Was that your Coach Brown's, you know, game plan, is to try to run first, you know, tease us and then pull back?
Yeah, I've been going into the game. I don't know if Coach Brown wanted us to run at the pace we ran in the first half, but everything was going so well. The game was close and things of that nature. Now, we got in at halftime, and he was just like, okay, guys, now we need to play at our pace. Now we need to make sure that we dictate how things go. And so for us, we're looking around like, hey, it's 50-50. We're balling right now. What you talking about, Coach? And so he was like, no, we've got to do some things differently. We got to do what we did to win ball games from this point forward. And that's kind of what we went to. So you're right. You know, we slowed down the tempo and we got into more of our half court sets. And, you know, we had a lot of guys, you know, especially Milt. You know, Milt doesn't get enough credit or attention for the game that he played in that championship game. I mean, he was spectacular.
Yeah, he was huge. He made some unbelievable NBA style move baskets. It was like, you know, but the one thing, like, you know, when we were towards the end of the game was close. And I think, and we still talk, me and Harvey talk about this when we go to our reunions all the time. We felt like, you know, I was the leading scorer in the tournament that year. And, you know, going into that game, you know, Dave Seeger, our wing, was really hot. Like he hit
he was
threes. I mean, it was unbelievable. I was over there yelling, keep shooting it, Dave, keep shooting it. But then Dave forgot when you go in at halftime, there was a longer halftime, you know, because they were doing all these presentations, that you got to get back into a rhythm. You got to get back into a flow. And then they just kept shooting and they were not making them. And they forgot about me and Harvey Grant. Yeah. And me and Harvey had 14. I had 14 at the half. I think Harvey had 13 or 14 and a half. But we didn't get the ball in the second half. And I thought that was the big difference. But Danny, I'm not gonna lie. We couldn't do anything with you, man. It was, I ain't gonna lie. I can say this after about 30 years. It took me a while to admit this, but I'm admitting it now. You did kill us because to me, I feel like you were the start of the point forwards, you know, that we see now in the NBA with how the NBA is gone with the guys that are 6'9", 6'10", that's handling the ball. I kind of think you set the tone for like Lamar Odom, you know, being that, you know, big 6'9", 6'10" guy that could actually handle the ball and facilitate offense. Do you think you were the trendsetter when you you know, you look back on this?
You know what, I don't know if I was a trendsetter, but for me, and guys my size, when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird hit the NBA and started doing what they were doing, it gave me a lot of energy and it gave me a lot of motivation, because up until that point, it was big guys aren't supposed to dribble the basketball. You got to run down. The only place you can be is in the paint, you know, those types of things. And, you know, I'm growing up playing basketball and I'm looking at some of the coaches that I got and I go, I dribble better than that guy. He's the point guard. Or I pass better than that guy and he's your point guard. I mean, so for me, it was just, you know, I grew up with a father as a coach. And so it was all around skill set. I had great coaches growing up. And so it was just do a lot. And then also, you know, this, Stacey, when you play with the older guys, when you're good for your age, you play with the older guys. And when you play with the older guys, what do they tell you to do?
Pass the ball.
Pass the ball.
Pass the ball. Yeah, you're not out here to shoot, young fella. Get me the ball.
Yeah.
And so I went through a lot of that growing up too. And, you know, so for me, it was just trying to be an overall complete player. And, you know, that's the way I needed to play to be effective, because my body didn't allow me to be a true banger or a guy to go down into the post and stay down there repeatedly time and time again and take that type of pounding. So, for me, it was all about just being a complete basketball player. And, I played for a great coach that gave me a chance to showcase that.
Stacey, you ready to move on from the NCAA championship game? Can we move on to other topics? Or?
Mark, you know what? Your comments are not going unnoticed, okay? All right.
We were going to get Stacey a couch today because this is like therapy.
I'm over it, okay? I'm over it, okay? You guys are going to be moving furniture. I'm just telling you right now. So,
well, we're going to give Danny a little therapy now from the highs of the NCAA championship to the 1988 Olympic experience. We talked in our production meeting yesterday. Stacey said that the selection of the roster was kind of odd and that Stacey was injured, so he didn't get a chance to compete. What was that experience like for you? Obviously, John Thompson wanted to put together a squad that could play his style, but in the end, it didn't work out, and that led to the Dream Team concept in '92.
Yeah, we paved the way for Dream Team. That's how I look at it. For me personally, that was a terrible game that we lost. But and I played bad, and I do think if I would have played better, we would have won the ball game just as a competitor. But I look at that roster that we competed up against, and that was the first time I'd ever put my eyes on Sabonis. And it seems like he gets a rebound in the air, one hand, and throws an outlet pass behind his back to Marshall Lewis at half court, right in stride. And then I'm looking around like, oh boy, oh man, these are men we're playing up against. And so, it was a difficult experience because of the way that the U.S. had dominated Olympic basketball with so many gold medals. And so not to achieve the goal was very disappointing. You're proud to represent your country. And I thought the team we had was a really good team. I just thought that they were better that night. Without question, they were better. They were more talented in terms of their experience in the game because they were pros. Mm-hmm. And, for us, we couldn't keep up. And I think if we'd have played them in a series, I think it would have been a really competitive series. But, Sabonis was really good.
Talk about, the experience that we had with John Thompson during that Olympic trials and, how I came away with so much more respect for him. I knew he was a tough coach, but when we got down there, we kind of saw how tough he was. He always made us walk to practice at Colorado Springs from the dorm. When we were at Georgetown, he had a pulse of what everybody was doing. Like if you went out, he knew about it. So you didn't want to do anything because you knew he would find out about it. But I had a great appreciation for him. He ended up being a very, very good confidant and a good friend for me. What was your experience like with him?
It was, especially as I continued to mature and I got into the coaching realm. He was always someone that I enjoyed spending time with. It was always a warm embrace. But you're right. I mean, we're playing for John Thompson. We're in that gym on campus. And, you just think about, man, Pat Ewing was in here. Patrick Ewing. This is Hoya paranoia. This is where it all started.
Yep.
And then you get out there and you hear his baritone voice. You hear those whistles blowing. And it's like, I still remember things that he said to us as a coach. The common sense ain't so damn common. When somebody make a mistake or do something. And so for me, it was an experience that I really appreciate over time. But I thought it was tough when we were there. We're practicing 2 times a day. We've got 3 meals in, and we're back in our room, done with everything by 7:30 or so.
Yep.
And then we're ready to do it again the next day. And you're just like I believe in my heart one day he went to sleep while we were running drills. He was just blowing the whistle.
Yeah.
Just like
I remember him getting mad at us and said somebody messed up a play or didn't do something he wanted. He said, "Get on the line," and then he just blew the whistle and he just kept blowing the whistle and we just kept running. And remember, Miss Finland came down and said, "John, they're going to miss the meal." And if it wasn't for Miss Finland, Mary Finland, we would have still been running that we probably be running right now in our 50s.
Yes. So, yeah, but you know what, really, like you say, a great appreciation for who he was, what he did in the game of basketball, and the way, he paved the way for a lot of us without question, especially in the coaching ranks. And so you really have a great appreciation for what he did. But he was certainly a very challenging coach and someone that made us all better.
Danny, let's move on to your NBA career. Unfortunately, you suffered a serious knee injury early in your career. And when you look back on your NBA experience, what are your overall thoughts? Do you feel like that injury really hurt what kind of player you might have been in the league?
You know what? I don't know, because that was not the hand I was dealt. You know, I blew my knee out 26 games or so into my rookie year, and that's all I know. And then I did it 2 more times throughout the course of my career. I will say that my college experience helped prepare me to go through that type of adversity, because I had a teammate in Archie Marshall, who was actually from Oklahoma, who blew his knee out a couple of times, and I saw him rehab and get back. And so that gave me a different perspective in it, because when I blew my knee out, Bernard King was in the midst of his comeback from an ACL. And at that time, those injuries were almost considered career threatening. So I feel very fortunate and blessed to make it back. And that, to me, is probably one of the marks that, you know, if I'm going to say something I'm very proud of, is being able to come back from 3 of those throughout the course of my career. So, you know, I don't look back on what would have been. You know, the only thing that I projected when I hurt my knee each time was, I'm still 6'10", so if nothing else, I can be a true post player.
That is true. I will say this though about you, Danny. I know we've faced you with the Clippers and in Atlanta, and you used to give us problems. I mean, on the scouting report, you know, it was always like, you know, put pressure on him, pressure him up the floor. Don't let him come up the floor and make decisions with the ball. He'll cut us apart. So we always respected you offensively in the way you do things. That's why when I look at today's game, you know, and you see how many big guys like LeBron and all these guys that can handle the ball, that can initiate offense. And you just, you know, you go back and go, man, we had guys in our era that did that. You know, there was not a lot of them, but we had some really good players, and you were one of them.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But, you know, I look at, like, when we came in the league, it was the size of the league was so much bigger. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
I came in the league, I'm playing a small forward. Harvey's playing small forward. Detlef Schrempf, Derek McKee, James Worthy. I mean, you got guys that are 6'9", 6'10", playing the small forward spot. And, you know, you look at today's game, and I think the international flavor in today's game is something that, you know, for me, I think you would have been a tremendous player. You were a tremendous period. But in this game, because of being able to score the basketball, you know, there's a premium now on offensive basketball skill set. I mean, you watch it day in and day out when you're calling your games, but the offensive flow and the creativity that coaches use, the spacing on the floor, I enjoy watching it. I think it'd be fun to be a part of it in terms of as a player, but it's fun to watch because I think you see more of a general overall skill set and people are appreciating it more.
You know, Danny, we always like to ask the guys that come on that played during Stacey's era, you know, their reflections on the Last Dance documentary. I think today is the 1-year anniversary of when it premiered last year, and it's amazing that 1 year has gone by already. But when you watch those clips, what stood out from your own personal experience of going up against Jordan and Stacey and those great Bulls teams and seeing how Jordan looked back on that time?
Well, I might be one of the only few people that didn't watch it in its entirety.
Wow.
You know, I was navigating getting fired around then. So I was
more important life things going on. Yeah.
I had a few other things going on my plate. So I watched a few of the episodes. You know what? It was fun to see. I thought the creative genius of when it came out and what was going on at that time hit at a perfect time. And for me, I lived it. You know, Stacey lived it. So it's just like, yeah, those guys were good. No question about it, you know, and they did it in a lot of different ways. And I had a lot of different guys that contributed. So for me, it was nice to see because I could reflect back and think of the memories of playing up against those talented teams. And, you know, one of my better friends in the NBA was a part of it, and Ron Harper, and we used to talk about it all the time. So it was a unique period of time. I feel very fortunate to have played during that era, to experience some of that in terms of just how good the Bulls were. You know, I mean, I think the longer that it goes past, sometimes people really don't have the appreciation for what they did night in and night out during an 82-game NBA season. You know, I mean, that is hard to do. It's hard to stay healthy for an NBA season, and let alone to play at the level that they play at and to win games at that level. I can't imagine. And the closest team that I ever had to winning games in a manner like that was my first year with the Suns, with Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley, of course, and Dan Marley, and that group that lost to the Bulls in the championship. Because when I got to Phoenix, their attention to detail was something that I'd never witnessed before because of the Bulls. You know, when they're just like, you know, that we run up against the Bulls, that ain't going to help us win. That's not going to help us win. And so the impact that they had, not only optically from the outside world, but inside the NBA, and guys knowing, wow, we've got to really do something special and hold ourselves accountable to be able to compete with a team like that.
Yeah, that's those are some good games. Now you've been college coach for a while now, and you know when it's my question is to you is like, how difficult is it to coach today's college kids compared to when you came in as a freshman to playing with Larry Brown and coming to KU? What has changed? What is the mentality? What has changed with today's college player compared? Because I know everybody wants to get to the NBA. That's the goal, one and done. Yeah. But how difficult is that for you as a coach, knowing that you may have players that have aspirations to play in the NBA? You're ready to lead.
You know, I think guys that are in college now, they're in a race. They're in a race to get through and get to that next level without knowing how hard it is to stay at that level.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the tough part. And then, I mean, and it's also kind of you go sit in a living room and you talk with the parents, you talk with the kid, you talk with the AAU coach, you talk with the workout guy, you talk with the strength and conditioning person, you talk with this person, and it's almost offensive at times to hear them say in such a dismissive, oh, he's just gonna play in the NBA. And we'll look down and go, you think that shit's that easy?
Yeah.
Do you really think it's that easy? Like, you know, there are only 400 of these jobs out there. You think you're just gonna sashay in and just take somebody's job? Like they're just gonna say, oh, here you go, take my job. Like, you have no idea. And so for me, it was, I understand how hard it is. And it's a balancing act. You know, I walked and sat in so many living rooms where kids were going to tell me, and their parents would say, oh, my child is a one and done. And I'm looking at that kid like, no, he can be a great college player. I'm saying this in my mind. I didn't say it out to him because I would have never got the kid. But you're saying he's a one and done. I'm looking at him going, no, he's a 4 and done. But that's okay because he can go to college, he can get his degree and have a great experience. But he's not on that level. And so that's the tough part of getting people to understand how good guys are on that level, how committed they are. You know, we're in college and, you know, you got guys moaning about, we're practicing twice a day. Like, huh? Like, wow. That's unheard of. And you sit back and you go, man, you got no idea. You got no idea what the off season is like. In the off season, you might go 3 or 4 times a day, depending on where you're at and ramping up, getting ready to go. Whether you go to the gym and you get your run in, you get your skill work in, you get your body work in. You know, I mean, there's so many different things that you do. So them understanding exactly what it takes and that it's a job is a tough concept for them to understand right now because they only get the bits and snippets on the social media piece or on TV, and they don't see everything that goes into it. They don't understand what goes behind the millions of dollars that LeBron puts into his body to prepare himself for an NBA season.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny, we mentioned you're doing some broadcast work this year. Is your ultimate goal to get back into coaching at the major college level?
I would. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I like sharing. I like teaching. I like the interaction with the players on the court and sharing. I've been very fortunate and very blessed on my journey, and I feel I need to play it forward. And so, you know, now it's just a matter of finding the right opportunity that I feel really comfortable with and going from there. You know, I've only coached at 3 places, you know, assistant at Kansas, head coach at Tulsa, and head coach at Wake Forest. And for me, it's about being with people that I like, people that I enjoy working with. And, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm in the midst of trying to figure out a few things. And, I've been very fortunate to have a couple opportunities, and we'll kind of see what the future holds in the next week or so.
The one thing I know, because I help Oklahoma recruit. I'm one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I come out of the closet. I'm like the closer, Mariano Rivera. When they get close to what they call me, and I know what that means to kids, because they know who you are. They know what you've done. They did their homework on you. What is it like when Danny Manning walks into someone's home? Do you get the instant credibility of being like, this guy was the National Player of the Year, he's one of the greatest college basketball players of all time? Is that like your ace in your sleeve? Does that help you at all when you're recruiting?
Stacey, it helps with the parents, and it might help with the high school coach or the AAU coach, but the kids don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kids, they might be able to they'll find something on their phone after, their parents or the AAU coach or the high school coach goes, hey, you might want to look them up, or, something along those lines. So when we played, the only people that I remember in that, Stacey, are the parents and the coaches. So, and then once we get in with the kid, we can share some of our experiences with them. But, a lot of those kids, we're old, Stacey, man. That's just the way it is right now.
That's just really crazy, because I remember when, guys like Don Haskins came into my house, and how impressed I was and knew his background and the story behind him. When Larry Brown and your dad walked into my house, I knew who they were. Like, I really knew who those guys were when they came in. And it's amazing that these kids nowadays don't really know the history of not only college basketball, but even the NBA, because if I saw Danny Manning, if I was a kid and I saw a coach come in at 6'11", walk into my house, I obviously know he played for somebody. He did something special, because there's no way in the world he just walked around and just picked apples off trees. So it's
different. It's different. Today's generation, these kids have so many different things at their disposal, and the crux of it is the phone. It's great, but it's also something that limits them. There are a lot of times, you got guys that, and you see it, they'll take the phone. I'm in the lab working, and document everything with their phone, or put up something on Instagram. And then you sit down and you watch them play, and it's just like, man, you ain't gotten any better. What are you doing in the lab? And so, getting guys to understand putting in the real work that's necessary. I think that's one thing. It's the attention that's out there right now sometimes grabs a lot of these kids and leads them into a place that sometimes they can't get out of, because now it's being done for entertainment and opposed to love.
Danny, I remember you playing. I lived in LA. I was a Clipper fan. I remember how hard you worked. Oh yeah, with the big brace, we used to go to
You were the guy, huh?
Sports arena. We used to go to the sports arena. Those teams were great, though. You mentioned Ron Harper, Doc Rivers, but take me back. I wore this jersey. I hope that you remember this moment.
Oh, here we go. The king of the props.
I'm wearing this Bo Jackson jersey.
Yes.
Right.
But I remember the day, it was like Danny Manning Day at Kauffman Stadium. You threw out the first pitch. And
don't bring that up. Whoa.
And
you have footage of that pitch?
I tried to find it, but I remember not the pitch.
He booed you.
It was Bo Jackson. The way he skipped across the diamond and came up to you, and the look on your face was like, "What is this guy?" He got your autograph.
Yes.
How great was that?
I remember that. It was cool. Our whole team was there for the opening. Whatever we were celebrating, opening day or whatever. And Bo Jackson comes out. It's like, this is Bo Jackson. This is the dude that. Bo knows everything, right? That's the football, the baseball, the shoulder pads, and the bat, and the commercial. And you look at him like, goodness gracious. But that was a fun moment for us, to spend time with him and, George Brett and all those guys, because, Kansas City, the Royals, a big thing. So it was a great experience. Yeah.
Was that after the national championship?
It sure was.
That sucks. That's terrible. This is terrible, man. That's just bad memories. Hey, I got one more question for you. What do you think about this portal? And I know this year was a really tough year with the COVID and everything, and basically every kid in college basketball got a free year. And now you've got this portal. And you've got all these kids now jumping in this portal, going to different schools. What is your take on that? Do you think it's good for college basketball, or is it just really good for the player?
I don't know. I think depends on who you are and how you look at it. I think the portal gives kids freedom to move around, which I'm okay with, but it makes it more of a business, if you will, when you're putting together your team. Because now the mindset for a lot of coaches that I've spoken to, college coaches, is I'm putting together a team like an NBA mindset. We're doing it for 1 year. There's no more, I'm going to take this kid as a freshman, and by the time he's a junior, he's going to be really good. Kids don't want to hear that. They want to know that they're coming in and they're going to have an impact. They're going to start. They're going to play X amount of minutes or get X amount of shots right from the get-go. And they want to do it without sometimes putting in the work to get to that point. And that makes it tough. Now, let me say this. When those kids put their names in the portal, they understand how tough of a business it is because there are more kids in the portal than the scholarships.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm a high school player, I'm starting to panic to a certain extent because if I'm a college coach and I'm like, well, I don't know. This kid is really enticing to me because he's already played in college. Yeah. He's already got some college experience. Now, this freshman kid, he could be really good. But if I'm building my team on a year-by-year basis, 1 year at a time, I might look at the older kid, the more experienced kid, to have a quicker and bigger impact on my team than a true freshman. So there's so many ways to look at it, but that's how a lot of the college coaches are looking at it right now. It's like a freshman kid or a young man that's 19 or 20 years old that's been in college basketball and has a level of experience.
Very similar to the JUCO route back in the 80s. Yes. When all like Billy Tubbs used to just raid the JUCOs. That's how we got Harvey Grant. And it's kind of similar now with this portal. You're getting an experienced player that's got, 2, 3 years, 4 years of experience. And plus they didn't lose a year this year. So basically this was a free year for guys to play, and I just feel like it would be just so difficult for coaching because, our new guy, Porter Moser at Oklahoma, he has an opportunity right now to lose 3 to 4 players out of the portal. And that's half, and those are all rotational players. So he's coming into a situation where he thought like, hey, I got this returning guy. I'm going to be pretty set for the next couple of years. And those dudes are in the portal. And it's like, oh.
Yes, it's different. It's, everybody, a lot of times when a new coach takes over, you're going to have some people leave for whatever reason. That's just the way it is. But, a lot of these guys now, the grass is always greener in a different pasture. And a lot of times they get over there and they realize that, wow, I had it pretty good where I was at. And so, a lot of it is mindset. A lot of it is the people that are advising these kids. They mean well because they want the best for that individual. But sometimes the information that they're giving or only listening to is something that they want to hear. And so a lot of times it's not like, well, this is the best case scenario. But, you know what? Have y'all talked about the worst case scenario? Because everything is not going to be peaches and cream everywhere you go. You're going to have to go through some adversity and hardship. And I think that's the toughest thing now. You alluded to JUCO players when we were coming up. But, Stacey, they only went to one school and then they went to their next 4-year college. Yeah. You got kids now in the portal that will have gone to 4 schools throughout their college career.
Wow.
Like 4 schools. That's a pro mindset, right? In terms of, I'm going here for this year. I go here this year and I go here this year. And everybody's situation is different and circumstances are different. It might have been coaching changes. It might have been philosophy changes with those coaching changes. I get it. But can you imagine that? There are kids that will leave college playing at 4 different schools.
That's crazy. I would never have thought that it could ever happen.
Yes. So that's the day and age that we live in. And, the freedom part for these kids of being able to pick up and move is good, but they also have to understand that what the coaches are picking from and the options that they have, you got options to go get some experience. You got options to go get a talented player that understands his role a little bit more than maybe a young kid walking in the door. So I think it's going to be an eye-opener for a lot of the high school kids. I think it's going to be an eye-opener for a lot of the kids that put their name in the portal. because they think that the grass is greener on the other side, and they might not get the opportunities that they were hoping for or told that they were going to get. And then they're going to have to settle for something. And then when you settle for something and you don't like it when you get there, what's going to happen again the following year?
Yeah.
You're right back in the portal.
Now with the way the new college system is, and all these kids get a chance to test the pro water. They get a chance to, not hire an agent with the opportunity to come back. Okay. So my question, tell the listeners who may not know this, okay, what is your process as a coach? Do NBA personnel come to you and say, okay, Danny, you got, such and such John Jackson as your 2 guard. Here's a fair evaluation of this kid who wants to go pro, but he hasn't hired an agent. We don't think he's ready. We think he needs to be seasoned another year. Okay. So now you've got that information. Is it that you go talk to the player and his family, or is it, how does that get to the player to realize that, okay, this is what the NBA people are saying about you? And do they take it seriously, or do they think, oh, you just saying that just to keep me here?
Stacey, and for me, how I handle those situations, when you have an underclassman who wants to declare or get NBA feedback, you fill out paperwork. And when we fill out the paperwork, we put the information for the parents, the kid, and me, the head coach or the coach. And so when that information comes back, it comes to all 3 of us. And then from there, I have a 3-way call with the NBA, kid and his family, and myself. And all I do is just listen to what the NBA says. I have in my mind what I feel is going on, where that kid is at, but yet and still, if you tell them the truth, when you tell them the truth, a lot of times, some resentment could creep in there because they do revert back to saying, well, you're just trying to keep me here. And so for me, the best way to handle that is the dialogue is open and it's 3-way, but it's coming from the NBA. And they'll tell you, we think you'll get drafted first round, top 15, or your mid first round, or your late first round, or your early second round, or your mid second round, or you're not drafted. And I've had kids that get that feedback, and it was the percentage of you getting drafted is 10% late second round. And all that kid hears in their family is, I got a chance.
Wow.
Right? That's what they hear.
Yeah.
They don't, but you know how many other people are getting that same information, the feedback window for that? It's a ton of kids. There are 2 rounds. There are 2 rounds that you get drafted, and only 1 is guaranteed. And, and so for me, that's how I handled it, because, I tried it of saying, hey, this is what I think, Then you hear the kid go, man, you don't believe in me, coach. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you what that next level is like and how hard it is. And so for me, it was just a matter of, I want to let the NBA give the feedback.
Kind of sums it up, Stacey, the classic.
I'm going to let the NBA give the feedback. And if they want to talk about it, I'll be happy to talk about it. But it's self-explanatory. It comes back out and they tell you exactly where they feel you're going to be drafted. And most of the time, it's pretty accurate.
I was going to say, it kind of sums it up, the classic line from Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance.
That's right. That's right.
And the parents want to believe that there's a chance. Danny, we want to thank you so much for spending so much time with us today. We wish you best of luck in getting back into the college game. Look forward to seeing you coach once again on the NCAA level, and we'll look forward to watching your broadcasting work in the meantime. So thank you for joining us, and you'll always have those memories of that 1988 NCAA.
And I just want to say I appreciate you not flashing that ring of that championship, because we got the silver ring. I'm just glad you didn't show that ring. That's your true friend, Danny Manning. You're a true friend.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Stacey, take
Easy,
care.
bud. Stay in touch, boy.
Okay.
Off the Wall coming up next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. A lot of fun catching up with Danny Manning, at least for most of us, as he told stories about the NCAA Championship game. We're going to go off the wall now with something a little bit different. For those of you who are regular listeners and viewers of the show, you've seen Stacey's American Bullies. They were here for the last round, which was a lot of fun. When we see Brixton and Kobe Kai. So, Stacey's been struggling at times with trying to train those pups, and they get a lot of energy. And we've all had experiences with dogs. We've all been dog owners in our time, and you've probably seen photos or seen videos, clips of my little dog Mimsy, which is a combination Maltese Yorkshire Terrier, only about 8 to 10 pounds. She's very feisty though, always wants to yap and run around. And every now and again, I got a good friend over. We have beers down in the man cave, Stacey, and she likes to come down and she'll be really affectionate. All of a sudden, she'll just turn on my friend and just start barking at him, just looking up at him, just like it's an intruder. She loves the guy, and then all of a sudden she'll just turn on him, and started barking. So we decided we had to figure out some way to stop that. So what we tried to do was get those little, they call them zap mats. You put them in front of the door if you don't want the dog to run out. So decided too much barking.
Here's Susan. Oh,
she's already anticipating.
Yeah, she's getting ready to call the Humane Society.
As you know, Stacey,
anonymous call.
Sometimes enough is enough. So little Mimsy had to get a taste of the old dog mat. So stop the barking or you're going on the mat. Wow. So they got different settings that you're going to tell us about later. So just put her on there and jump straight up in the air. But the thing is about dogs is at least for this dog, it hasn't really worked. It hasn't been that effective.
Really?
Should be really quiet and kind of go off with the tail between her legs and then just go right back and start barking at my friend again. So,
wow.
I don't know.
You might have to physically pick her up and put her on the pad.
Throw her on it.
Watch
Throw her on it. Here, Mimsy. Throw her on the pad.
So, yeah, we're going to let Stacey wrap this up, but he's got a great story about that. But let's go over around the room. Whispers, you got a story about a dog in your life?
Yeah, I agree with you. Barking is a problem. And my dog, we had to put on one of these auto collars that if you just start barking after whatever, a few barks, starts zapping him. And he had it on, was outside, just barking like crazy for 5 minutes. And I'm like, this dog won't shut up. It's 1 in the morning.
How big of a dog is this?
25-pound King Charles Cavalier. And so we, yeah, he wouldn't shut up though. And it's pretty loud for a little dog.
Susan's just falling in love with everybody's dogs.
So the little dogs.
The little dogs. Oh, you're so mean to the little dogs.
The yappy
Hello.
dogs.
I'd like to make an anonymous call to the Humane Society. Yes, we have some people that are mistreating dogs on the Give Me the Hot Sauce show.
So yeah, he keeps barking. So I figure I'll throw a can at him and kind of
which is always a good strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
Drunken stupor.
Nobody knows how dry I am. Shut up, dog.
Well, it's better than the beer bottles he usually gets.
Yeah.
Humane Society.
There's Susan again.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't recall that chapter from dog training school.
Well, the can hits him right in the shot collar. Somehow. I thought at least it didn't hit him in the head, but it goes off, and as he's running back in the house with the red LED shining on the snow, comes in the house, barfs on the floor, and is having a little bit of a convulsion. Had to take the collar off.
Gives the new meaning to auto-tune.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I just let him bark after that.
So you almost he got sick because of the shocks?
Yeah, he came racing back to the house, and this thing, because it wouldn't shut off then after it got hit by the can.
How'd you get the collar off then?
I cut it off. I grabbed scissors.
We're doing surgery.
Wow,
Dr. Whispers is going in.
good.
The dog is being electrocuted by a can in the throat, and he cuts the thing off. Wow.
Now the dog sleeps in his bed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Okay,
I don't know what's worse, the shot collar or throwing a can at it.
I think throwing a can is the worst.
I didn't think I was going to hit him.
And then the can is
just
stuck
land by
like a
him.
magnet.
Timmy gave him both.
Yeah,
the two-piece.
Yeah, you got a two-piece.
Yeah, that's a traditional
Doggy
two-piece.
two-piece.
Well, then I filled his bowl with beer. He was fine after that.
Oh my God.
I don't think we should be giving dog training advice to Stacey.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, Walsh, it's your turn.
Well, as I mentioned, we should not get any kind of award for dog training because our dogs are so poorly trained. But we have a yellow lab, Mr. Brady, and he was virtually impossible to train on the electric fence. But we did have one noteworthy incident. Just when you're sure he's trained and he's never going to blow through the gate again. There was a guy, he had to be $3 bills, just had surgery on his knee, had no business riding a bike. So he's riding a bike, with a dog on a leash, which I think is just ridiculous to begin with. And Mr. Brady, I don't know, he got triggered and he blew through because he wanted to run with him.
Yeah.
And the guy ran him over. He had tread marks across his stomach, and the guy fell off his bike, and it got really ugly. And he's, I'm going to sue your ass, and just
Really?
yeah.
Is Mr. Brady okay?
A neighbor.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Brady. I mean, after getting shocked and run over, he couldn't have cared less.
And the guy blamed Mr. Brady.
Well, yeah, he did. I mean, it's kind of Mr. Brady did.
Now, that was his first thing. He yelled at, you got to control your dog.
John, were you there?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was, actually.
Okay, how did you handle this situation at Southside?
He was throwing passes to Mr. Brady.
Well, I heard the ruckus.
It's not good, because I'm like, what do you mean? You just ran my dog over. You need to control your dog. And why are you riding a bike with a dog?
John, I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, why are you riding a bike with a dog? You don't look like you're capable of doing that, I said. And he kind of looked at me, and he had some glasses on, and he got back on his bike and hobbled away. And then I realized he lives like not two houses, but 2 streets over. I'm like, oh God, But yeah, that was the end of it.
So we drove him home, and when we got to his house, he had a huge Packer flag.
Oh, that's
and
right.
I thought,
we drove him home.
Oh,
That's right. After I yelled at him.
I rode his bike
That must have been a fun ride.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's right. I offered to give him a ride home because his bike, I think, the frame was bent.
wow.
Mr. Brady broke his bike,
He
huh?
did.
Yeah.
So no dog training advice from the Walshes.
Oh,
Definitely
my
not.
God.
Did you name the dog, John?
Yes, he
yeah,
did.
I
Come
did,
on,
I
man.
did.
I'm surprised he didn't have Mr. Rondo.
No, we
That'd be the
got
next dog name. This is our Mr. Rondo.
Yes, I did.
we got a
We got him
a
the year
girl
that
dog.
Brady got hurt.
Yeah, we got a girl dog 2 years later, and the kids wanted to name her Giselle. And I said, no way.
my God.
Celebrity marriages never last. That was my famous last words.
They went with Little Molly.
Actually, Bello, short for Belichick. No,
Little Molly.
Yeah, Little Molly.
Little Molly.
That's
Yeah.
cute. That would have been a good
I did talk to my
Yeah,
fantasy
we heard the
camp
Paul
coach.
Molitor story. We want to hear it.
Yeah.
Stacey,
That's
save us
episode
from that Paul
24.
Molitor story. Right?
Okay, so America, I'm in the process of training my dogs. Okay, so I'm paying someone to train them. I'm not doing it. I'm just kind of reinforcing what they're learning at their little school. They go to school 3 days a week, and it's like going to like daycare. They go there. Everybody knows them. They run in. They're so happy. Boom, boom. I pick them up like 5 o'clock at night. They're wore out. So I'm like, great. So I reinforce what they're teaching. So this weekend, little Kobe, the youngest one, who's like 5 months old, he's starting to feel himself now. He's starting to
He's strong, too.
Yes, he's very strong, and he's starting to act like a juvenile. He's going from baby puppy to juvenile, where he doesn't like to listen.
Yeah.
And so it started when he goes into my neighbor's yard and poops, and I'm calling him, Kobe, we got a huge backyard, but they don't want to go in their yard. It's almost like, well, we don't want to mess up our yard with poop because we don't want to step on it. And this guy's not going to pick it up until the end of the week. So let's go over and poop in this guy's yard. So they go over and poop in this guy's yard. And I'm telling them, come back. They don't listen. So I told the trainer, I say, hey, man, I don't know what I'm paying you guys for, because you gave me this little clicker. And that's supposed to
It's kind of powerless.
Man, the clicker sucks. Yeah. It sucks. So this weekend was really, really, really bad. So the first incident, I was in my house and Amazon dropped off a package. So the dogs heard, they ring the doorbell. Dogs, rah, 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 rah. So we go to the front door. I said, all right, let's go see who it is, guys. Come on, boom. So we go to the door. They know not to go outside unless I go outside. So I had a neighbor that was walking across the street on the sidewalk, and he was across the street. So it's a street with the cars keep going. So little Kobe is between my legs, and he's standing between my legs, and he's barking. And I kind of got him in a not a serious headlock with my legs, but I kind of got a little pressure on him, like, don't you even think about it.
Sleeper hold.
Yeah, just, because he had that little feeling like he was going to run, because he's been doing this lately. So I'm like, no, he's not going to run. Because to get out the door, you have to go through my legs, first of all, and then you have to jump off the stoop. So I'm like, he's not going to do that. He's not that athletic, because you guys seen Kobe. He's a little bit on the chubby side, but he's starting to become more athletic. So this guy's walking across the street, and he starts growling. And I'm like,
That's not a good sign.
I'm like, easy killer. Easy killer. Don't even think about it. And I feel him like inching, like he's in the starting block. And so all of a sudden, he takes off. Literally runs between my legs, jumps off the stoop. I've never seen him do this. Jumped off the stoop like Benji. And he jumps off, and he goes hauling ass across the street. I'm yelling, Kobe, no. I've got no shoes on. I'm running out there trying to chase him. He runs across the street. Doesn't look, it's not like he looked both ways. Like, okay, there's a car coming left, coming right. He just takes off. And so he goes over and the guy goes, oh, he's a cute puppy. And so Kobe jumps on him and he's hugging him, all that. And I'm like, you little shit. Like, this dog was expensive. And the last thing I need for him to get hit by a UPS truck or an Amazon truck, because those guys fly through my neighborhood. So I get him. And I'm like, you can't do that. You can't. I'm giving him the treatment all the way across the street. He's looking at me like, man, get on air with that. I'm not listening to that. I'm a teenager now. I'm only 5 months, but I'm a teenager. So he goes back in the house. I'm like, oh, man. I called the guy. I said, dude, how do you guys keep him from running? And he's like, oh, we use an electronic collar. I can, you come in Monday. I'll show you how to use it. Yada, yada. I'm like, man, I can't wait till Monday. I can't wait till Monday. So I took him outside to go potty like an hour later. Another incident happened. So we're in the backyard, and I'm throwing the ball, and they're chasing it. Brixton's train. He's having a good time. Kobe doesn't like to run too much, so he's just kind of looking at Brixton chase balls. It's kind of on the lazy side. So all of a sudden, a little kid has a bike. He's riding by on the street. And I'm like, oh, my God, please don't let Kobe see him. No, he's not going to see him. He's not going to see him. I turn around. I hear a bark. Rah! And he takes off. And he's on a full Usain Bolt sprint. I'm chasing. Me and Brixton's chasing him. No. Brixton's probably saying dog language. Come back, Kobe, please, come back. He runs out in the middle of the street again. And he's jumping up on this kid. I said, oh, no. Hail to the no. This is it. I'm getting me an electronic collar now. So I have a choice. I said, you know what? Let me go online and see if, I can get it from Amazon. Because, Amazon has everything. They sell cars. They sell, women's clothing, men's clothing. I mean, they sell everything. So I go online and look at this electronic collar. I do my homework on it and see if they have this one particular one. So they have one. Delivered same day. Unbelievable. Same day. So it's probably 12 in the afternoon. It got there like around 6. It was too late to use it. Plus I had to charge it. Oh, so I said, okay, I'm going to charge it up and I'm going to use it tomorrow. So I couldn't wait. So I was like, oh, Kobe, I'm going to get your ass. I'm going to get you do that again. So I tried out myself because I want to see how it feels, because you have to try out the settings to make sure that you don't fry your dog. So
I think that's recommended.
No, you are. You're supposed to.
You're supposed to try it on your neck.
You're supposed to. You're supposed to try it out. It starts off like at 1, it goes up to 16. So I put it on 7. I'm thinking, okay, 7 is not bad. I should be able to take a 7 shock. It's not that big of a deal. It's not, and it's not like the invisible fencing outside, because that's a more powerful current. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, this shouldn't be that bad, So I'm doing the vibration, and I'm like, okay, I feel the vibration. That's cool. I hear there's another button that makes a beep sound, beep, beep, beep. I'm like, this is cool. So I may not even have to use the shock. So I said, let me just check the shock out. So I put my finger across the prongs, and I hit the shock button. And I literally jumped out the chair. I literally thought my heart stopped. I was sitting there like I had a heart attack. I was like, oh my God, I think I killed myself. I'm sitting there like I felt like I really got electrocuted. I'm like, oh, hell no. Let me turn this down. But I like it. I said, I like it. I'm going to give this to the dog. So I turned it down to 4. So the next day the dogs go out, and first thing they want to do, they want to go poop in the guy's yard. So I'm yelling, all right, boys, no pooping in the yard. No pooping in the yard. So I hit the little vibration thing. Brixton is smart, because Brixton recognized, wait a minute, this doesn't feel good. And it's not shocking. This just vibrates. Right. Yeah. So he's he's looking around. He's looking around to try to find out where this buzz is coming from. But he stops, because every time he moves towards the neighbor's yard, I hit the buzzer, and he stops. So he doesn't go. But Mr. Kobe, he doesn't want to listen. So he's inching closer. I'm like, Kobe, come back, buddy. And I hit the little beep, beep. He doesn't stop. I hit the vibration. Beep, beep. Brrr. He doesn't stop. He turns around and looks like, where's it coming from? Then he commenced to walking. Okay. And I'm like, please, God, don't make me shock this little puppy. Please, I don't really want to do this. I really just want for him to learn how to use the vibration. So I hit the vibration again. Doesn't stop. And he's starting to go up. So I'm like, it's time for the shock. I didn't want to do it, and I shocked him. So I hit the shock, and he literally jumped up, just kind of like I did. He jumped up like a dolphin out of the water, does a 360 spin, and he's in complete shock of what happened. What just happened? So he recognized, okay, I went too far. So I got to come back. So this morning, we had another situation. So now he's going up to poop, but he remembers, like, I got shocked somewhere around here, but I hit the little vibration button, so he recognized not to go up there. I said, great, it's working. So now I don't have to use the shock again. Just that one time got him. I thought it was over. It was not over. So today, another person was across the street walking their dog. He takes off.
Oh no!
I'm hitting the beep sound first, then I hit the vibration. Kobe, stop! Kobe, stop! Kobe, stop! Come back! Come back! He just keeps running full speed. Then all of a sudden, I had to hit the shock again. Stopped him in his tracks.
Where'd you get him?
He was halfway down the driveway in a full run. He was a full run, and I hit him with that shock, and it was like somebody stopped him with, like, he ran into a wall. It was like boom. He was like, "What?" And he turned around, and I felt so bad, but I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I can't allow you to run out into the street, and because they're so fast, they're like children. You know, they're so fast, and there's no way that my old ass gonna catch him. So I'm like. You know, I mean, he was an expensive dog, and I would be devastated if my dog got hit by a car. I've seen dogs hit by cars, not none of my dogs, but to have one of your dogs get hit by a car and possibly die, that's like the worst thing. So if the shock treatment keeps him from doing that, so be it. But I tell you what, we came back in the house today, and I thought I heard him, you know, because it was like on 4, it was like low, but. He was mad at me. Like, he ignored. he didn't want to. It was feeding time, and he didn't want to. Normally, he comes up on me and he's loving on me. He just stayed away from me for like 30 minutes. Like he knew I did it.
Don't hit that button.
I tried to play it off like it wasn't me, like it was something out of the sky. But he just looked at me like, man, how could you do that to me? How could you do that to me?
Next time you bring Whispers over, he'll think he did it.
You know, he might do like in Once Upon a Time, what was that movie?
Once Upon a Time in
Hollywood.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm trying to train my dog to do that to like Whispers and Stinger, where he just goes and attacks their lower extremities.
Doesn't he click?
Yeah.
Make sure you get to the right house, though. That's always the problem.
Good one, Mark. There you go.
Hey, we mentioned at the outset that Tim doesn't look quite right, and part of the reason for that is that Stacey and Tim have a story about their experience getting their first vaccine shot. That's our on the down low segment, getting the real skinny on what's going on with the vaccine shot. Whispers, why don't you start us off, because it didn't go that well, did it?
Well, first I got talked into it by.
You weren't going to go otherwise?
I don't know.
Yeah, I talked you into it. Oh, now I'm the blame.
And I texted him when I heard that. I said, Tim, what did you do? He said, I went with Stacey.
Oh, my God. I'm going to be the blame for this.
And this was the Pfizer vaccine. You said you had a little bit of a after effect reaction?
Well, none at first. That was after we were observed for a while.
Yeah.
But,
that should have taken more than 15 minutes, by the way, for you guys.
Yeah, definitely should have. But yeah, I ended up having fever, chills, sweating. Extremely tired. Double
How was
vision.
your night's sleep after that? Do you get any sleep?
It was rough. It was a rough night. It was bad. Yeah.
Were you having visions of Ron Jeremy, or what was going on?
Ron Jeremy.
I decided to watch a Stallone film instead.
If you missed last week's episode, you should go back and check it out. He was telling a story about a celebrity encounter with Ron Jeremy.
Oh, that was awesome. It was awesome.
When's number 2?
Number 2 what?
Vaccine shot.
May
number 2.
May 8th. And tell the listeners what you're going to do on May 8th.
Yeah.
I dug my old red Band-Aid out of the garbage and put it back in my arm and walked right through.
He's gonna try to walk through, act like he got the shot. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna snitch on him. I'm like, that guy did not take the second shot. Please get that guy right there. That guy right there with the red hair right there, looks like a lobster. Grab him, and he has not taken his second shot. Hold him down and give it to him.
Later the lobster needs another one.
Did he mix the shots up?
Okay, here's the story. So here's the story. I've been holding out for the Pfizer for the longest. Okay, my medical provider tells me, he says, hey, come in and get the shot, yada yada yada, but they don't tell you which one you get.
Right.
So when I called to find out which one you get, they said you can have the Moderna. I said, well, where's the Pfizer? I'd like to take the Pfizer. Well, we don't have the Pfizer. We won't get it back till the second week of May. So I'm like, well, I'll just wait till the second week of May.
Yeah.
Okay. So my son is dating his girlfriend. She works at Walgreens, so she was able to get me and Tim in through the family thing. So we walk in there to go get the shot. So I called Tim up. I text him. I said, Tim, I was at the game because I was doing a game that night. So I text Tim. I said, Tim, we can get the Pfizer shot tomorrow. You want to go? Tim, there was no hesitation.
Yeah.
There was no, see, Tim making it sound like he had to think about it. I forced him to go with a gun to his head.
Yeah.
So he was all in. Okay, he was all in. So he's like, yeah, what time? I said, well, here, I'll give you the information. Make your time. I made mine at 10 o'clock. Make your time before, and we'll go together. So Tim makes his at, I think, 9:45 or something. And so he comes over and picks us up. We're driving in the car. Now, I'm in his car. He's got navigation and everything on. We're driving, just driving around. I'm like, Tim, do you even know where you're going? Oh, I thought you did. I'm like, so you didn't even put in your navigation system? Like, we don't know where we're going. He said, well, I thought you knew where we were going.
Deerfield. I thought it was
Yeah.
going
So
to
we're just driving, talking. I'm like, Tim, where are you going? Like,
Yeah, you kind of have to be on time for this.
yeah. He wasn't on time because I wasn't worried about me.
Yeah.
But we were running late for him. So I
I
said,
thought I
Tim,
might miss my.
yeah. Now he might have been.
missed it.
Yeah. Oops. So we're driving and so I asked him, does he know where he's going? He's like, no, I thought you knew. It's very serious too. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? You didn't put in your navigation? No, I thought you knew. I'm like, oh, come on, Whisper. So we put in navigation, we find it. Boom, boom, boom. So we're going up to this place, and I thought it was going to be a pharmacy. So I thought we were going to go to the pharmacy. I didn't know we were going to the medical labs of Walgreens. That's where we went. We went to like the big medical lab, which is real. I've never been there. It's over in Deerfield. You see it right off the highway. You see that big Walgreens thing.
Yeah.
That's like a campus. And I didn't know that. So when me and Tim were pulling up, we see all these people going in. I go, man, that's a lot of people going in to get a vaccination. You know, is there enough room for people? Is there? I don't want to get COVID waiting to get a COVID shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's so many people.
Event,
That's what we were thinking.
Yeah, you can see them through the glass of the conveyor belt.
I mean, it was this huge, dude. It was just so many people. But once you got in there, Mark, it was so big. Oh, someone's trying to call me. Hold on, somebody's trying to call me.
Yeah, we don't see you anymore on the YouTube.
Okay, somebody was trying to call me on the bat phone. I had to get them off. So we go into this place, and so we had to go through. You know, you had to have a QR code and all this stuff. So before you come, you had to fill out this information.
Yeah, sure.
So what I did was, because I believe in conspiracy theories. So
It's conspiracy.
yeah, conspiracy theories. So what I did was when they ask you, because I believe you shouldn't ask a person their race. That shouldn't have anything to do with it.
It has nothing
to do with it. It should just be, give your name, your address, and age. And they're asking for medical, your insurance card, and what race you are. So I don't like that because everybody should get the shot. It doesn't matter if you're green, blue, yellow, should get the shot. It shouldn't matter. So my conspiracy theory, I'm like, so I don't really like this question, so I'm going to put that I'm white. Because I don't want to get a dose that I shouldn't get. I want to get the right dose. So I put.
You mean the one that was left out of the refrigerator?
Yeah. I didn't want to get and the one they give you guys. Okay, they give you guys. I'm gonna be honest. You people, they may not give me that shot. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna put white. So I put my name and white. So I get to the front, and the lady's reading my card. She's reading all my information. Okay, Mr. King, is this your address? Yes, it's my address. And she looks at me. She goes, "There's something wrong here." And I'm like, "What is it, ma'am?" And she goes, "There's something wrong." She goes, "It says here that you're white, but you're clearly African American." I go, "No, I'm white. I'm white. I haven't been in Florida. I'm white." So she goes, "Well, I think we should change that." I said, "No, I don't think you should. I think you should keep it white." Keep it white. So she starts laughing. And I said, the reason why I put that is I just want to make sure I get a good shot.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So she starts laughing. And I'm like, this is not funny. I'm being serious. Like, keep it there. So she keeps it there. So they send me back to the back. So now I'm going, Stacey King, the white guy. I'm going in there. So I go in there.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Hello, sir. How you doing there, buddy? So me and Tim go in there. And you see all these little tables set up, 1 through like 20. Okay. Yeah. So the guy comes over to Tim. And she's looking at, I guess he's probably looking at the sheet and he sees, white guy, whatever. So he says, you're in table 15 and you're in table 16. Okay. So obviously my plan worked because I went to table 16, Tim went to 15. I didn't have any problems. I didn't have any headaches, any fevers. I mean, I called Tim on Sunday because I want to see how he was doing, if he had any symptoms, trying to compare. So he's like, oh. I'm like, Tim, what are you doing, baby? How's the shot? Are you all right? Is your arm sore or anything? arm sore.
Feels like it's
He was
broken.
like, man, he goes,
half dead.
I feel like I'm dying. I think
Coughing up blood clots.
I had a 101 degree temperature, and my body aches. I had chills, and I just don't feel good, man. I feel like shit. So I like, really? I go, wow, man, you're joking, right? Because Whisper's always joking.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man, stop lying, because I feel nothing. I said I was just tired, and he's like, no, really. I was really sick. And I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. And so then his wife, Maureen, she didn't want him to go. She said, don't go. She's a conspiracy theorist too. Don't go. It's worse. Get
the nanobots.
Yeah, nanobot. Yeah, don't go. No, SkyTech, they're after you. Don't do it. So when he was sick, she was like, I told you not to go. See what happened? Should never follow Stacey. Should never listen to him. So then Tim says to me, he goes, I don't think I'm going to get that shot in 3 weeks. So I go, oh, yes, you are. Because if I go, you're going.
And you make him
I told him, I said, Tim, listen, it's just rare. You're not going to be sick the second time. Your sickness happened now on the first shot. You probably won't be sick on the second shot. I'll probably get sick on the second shot.
Usually the second shot's worse.
Yeah. So I said,
so you got that to look forward to. Which is nice.
So he's like, I'm not going. I'm going to dig in the trash can and find my little red Band-Aid and slap it on my arm and then walk through and say, I already got the shot. And I said, oh, hell to the no. I'm going to snitch. I'm telling. You know me.
Yeah, if you
commit
listen
a
to
crime,
the show, you know Stacey's going to snitch.
I'm snitching.
Then I got dragged more into the conspiracy with Maureen. About.
Well,
I'm going to get my first shot tomorrow, and I checked the I checked the white box, so I should be okay.
Yeah, you should be okay. Oh, you know what? It would have been funny if you hit African American and see where you would have gone. Are you getting Pfizer or Moderna?
Pfizer.
Okay, yeah, I would love for you to hit that.
I'm just going to roll up my sleeve tomorrow. I'm going to say, give me the hot sauce.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something. Though. It's not as bad as people think. People, when you get that shot, people are like, oh my God, I've seen videos, people screaming and hollering.
Right.
So when the lady came with me with the shot, I was like, I'm expecting this huge horse needle. I'm like, okay, where's this big needle?
What channel are you watching?
Yeah. No, but it's on YouTube. They have video of people actually like feigning and screaming and hollering when they got
don't like needles.
They don't like needles.
Yeah,
so they come out. with this needle. It's like not even a big needle. Yeah. And I was just like, and she hit me with it. And I go, is that it? She's like, yeah, that's all. I'm like, good. So then me and Tim walk out, after getting a shot. So we have to wait 15 minutes because you're gonna have to wait 15 minutes too.
Right.
So we got our mask on. No one knows who I am. They can't see me because I got a mask on. No one knows me. So I'm sitting down too, so you can't see how tall I am. So this guy walks up to us in a suit. He obviously works for Walgreens. So there's hundreds of people in there. He seeks me and Tim out. Of all the people, he comes over to me and Tim because there's a white guy and a black guy.
Notepad.
Yeah, he's got a notepad and he's like formal. He's got a suit on, suit and tie. And the first thing he goes was, "How are you guys feeling?" And I'm sitting here like,
sound like a bad pickup line.
But we just got the Pfizer shot.
Yeah.
And you bypassed hundreds of people to get to us. How are you guys feeling?
Maybe he recognized you.
No, he didn't know.
He just wanted to talk to two white guys.
He didn't know. He didn't even. First of all, he didn't even know who I was because I was sitting down and my mask covered my whole face.
Because a mask makes you look completely different.
Tim was standing up.
They're more curious about the red guy.
The red guy. Maybe that shot turned him red. So but the way he said it was creepy. It was like, he said, how are you feeling? Did you guys get the shot? We're like, me and Tim are looking at each other like,
can I get a ride home with you guys?
Who the hell is this guy? And then he starts talking to us like we don't even know him. He goes, I'm 6'5".
Oh my God, no.
Tim, am I lying?
No, yeah.
He goes, I'm 6'5". And guess what? I didn't even play basketball. I've never played basketball. Look how tall I am. And so I'm over here. I wanted to hit him with the who cares thing, So me and Tim's like looking at it like, who's this dude? Like, leave us alone, And then
15 minutes up. Like, we
had like 8 minutes to go.
So he had you trapped.
He had us trapped. So the guy tells me, he says to me, he goes, now he works from Walgreens, but he had to take from LA, and he had to take the Moderna shot. So then he commenced to tell me and Tim after asking us, how was the shot? You guys feeling okay? Then he tells us, I took the Moderna shot. And I was really sick. I thought I was gonna die, and I'm just like, dude, like we really don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. Not today. Leave us alone, man. So that was our story. And Tim was feeling good when we left. He was looking good. You know, he had a bounce to his step, man. He was happy. And then I went home because I had a game that night, and I went home and I fell asleep. So I immediately attributed the shot made me sleepy. So the next day I just called my boy Tim. I said, let me call little Timmy Whispers, see how he's doing, make sure he's okay. And he's like, I'm like, Tim, you all right, man? What are you doing? You hiding from the IRS?
Take a nap. So just take a nap afterwards. You'll be fine.
Yeah, just take a nap. Oh, man, it was a rough night. I was sweating and my head hurts. And, oh, man, I think I'm going to die. I'm not getting another shot. You're on your own. I'm like, no, you're coming with me, man.
So 3 days later, you doing okay?
Yeah, I think I feel all right.
All right. Well, that's
got
good to
color,
hear.
he's got his
We
color
don't
back.
want to discourage our audience not to go out.
No,
and
get the shot,
vaccine.
audience. Get
Yeah.
the shots. I mean, listen,
Check
we're over
the
here.
white box.
Yeah, check
but
all
keep
the
your
boxes.
Band-Aid if you don't
And
want to go back.
Hey. Keep the boxes. Just fill it out. Just fill out the boxes. Don't lie like me. Don't lie like me. But it worked for me. I'm just going to tell you, it worked for me. I got a good shot. I got good dose. Tim got my dose. See, Tim's dose was supposed to go to me.
So they flipped the
But
needles.
they flipped it around because I was supposed to be at 15. But since I put white guy, they put me over on 16.
Well, Tim,
and he
what
went
did
to
you
the black
put
guy's
down?
thing.
What did you put down, Tim?
Well, of course,
race.
Native American because I'm so red.
Yeah, they got him. They got him.
They nailed me.
They got him. They got him.
Always
So-
be honest when filling out medical forms.
Okay, you be honest.
And with that great advice,
You be honest, buddy.
we're going to bring down the curtain on this edition of Give Me the Hot Sauce, episode 25.
Pfizer, we love you, Pfizer.
Danny Manning, he was fantastic. We hope you enjoyed that interview. Go out and get the shot. Take care of
Get it.
yourself.
Take
Take
care
care
of
of your
yourself.
fellow citizens. Be kind to your neighbor. And watch Chuck Swirsky dance after the next Bulls win.
And
So
don't
long,
forget your
everybody.
Band-Aids.
Stacey, bring us home.
Drive home safely, Chicago.